Yeah, we've all got the internet these days, which means information on pretty much anything we need is at our fingertips. Is this really a good thing? As a collector, one of the biggest things I miss is collecting reference books. We don't need them anymore. Let's talk about that. Welcome to Spector Creative. Hey everyone, welcome back. It's a pleasure to have you all on the channel today. Love how great the world is going. Well, today I want to talk about something that, as pop culture collectors, sort of hits all of us. That is the slow death of reference books. All right, well, what am I talking about? Obviously, I'm a big fan of books, right? Hey, I wrote a book. It's called The Nile Quest. You should check it out. It's on Amazon. It's an awesome real-world Indiana Jones adventure, and it makes a great pool or summer reading. It's on Amazon now. Check it out. If you're looking for a way to support this channel, I don't ask for Patreon, but hey, pick up my book. Okay. But yes, books. So we all obviously collect stuff, right? We've got our souvenirs that say we saw this movie or we were fans of this pop culture movement or property, etc., etc. Well, in addition to buying lots of little figurines and vehicles and toys and stuff for our properties, well, those of us who grew up in the 70s or 80s, it's a good chance you have a big stack of what I would call sci-fi, fantasy, nerdy reference books. I know because I have an entire closet full of them, but I haven't bought one in like 20 years, which is interesting because that's pretty much since the internet's been out. I miss reference books. And I mean, well, I was going to say, I'm not just talking about encyclopedias, but boy, I used to love having our World Book Encyclopedia as a kid. I would just, grab random letters and sit there for hours just flipping through them and reading articles and looking at the pictures and then the diagrams and stuff. And that bled over into my love for reference books for pop culture. And yeah, like I said, I have a closet full of these books. Everything from, superheroes to Star Wars to Star Trek to, I've even got some ones from Game of Thrones from when it started. Yeah, I love pulling them out. I love flipping through them because they have material that is to me the advantage is they are physical, right? Yes, we can go on the internet and get almost any information we need, but it changes. The internet is fluid. Things can be erased, things can be deleted. With a book, that's yours. It's permanent. I mean, yes, you can print an updated version or you can have corrections, etc. But when you physically have that in front of you, there's something, the tactile experience, and it creates a feeling of ownership over the information. Meaning, I may not be an expert in world geography, but if I have a reference book on world geography, I probably know a little bit. Same with Star Wars geography, like the Guide to Planets or the Guide to Star Wars Aliens. Having it on my shelf and having flipped through and read it not only provides a feeling of accomplishment, but I know more about Star Wars moons, having read, the Star Wars Guide to Moons or, countless others. And they just don't make these anymore. And a big reason is the internet. In fact, a direct, quote I could use from my favorite comic book, Savage Dragon, there was a companion book, like a guide, put out when issue 100 came out, that basically went through every character, every storyline, gave a ton of information that we'd never had before, characters' real names, origins. It was great. It was one of my favorite things to read from that universe. Not only did I reread issues, but I used to reread this companion all the time. And I was very excited when issue 200 came out for volume 2, but it didn't come out. And we're now nearing issue 300, so we should be getting volume 3. But recently, Eric Larson, who's the artist of this comic book, came out and said the reason he doesn't feel the need to do another volume of the Savage Dragon Companion is because the Wiki is available, which has everything. And that's true. The Savage Dragon Wiki has everything you could possibly want to know about this comic book universe. But to access it, you have to be sitting at your desk, online, or with your phone in your hands. There's something about just sitting there with a book in your hands. It's an empowering feeling. And there's material that is out in a lot of these reference books that came out in the 80s and 90s that just is not available online. The Star Wars Chronicles, which is probably the greatest Star Wars coffee table book ever made, just has so much behind the scenes footage and information that's never been printed in any other book or online since then. I treasure these books. Honestly, they're one of my favorite parts of my collection. And I think it's a damn shame that kids today aren't getting this because, yeah, they just have their phones and they look up whatever they want and boom, they get that. But look, if you go to starwars.com and look up Greedo, you get a picture of not Greedo. That's not Greedo there. That's another Rhodian. But see, it just shows you, and even the internet has misprints all the time and bad information out there. So yeah, there is. It's sad to see that yeah, there are still you can still pick up a Marvel encyclopedia or a DC encyclopedia. And, it's not like these are out of print, but man, the number of reference books we used to get in the early '90s for fantasy and sci-fi was. I don't think I realized how good we had it at the time. It felt like we're always going to be getting this. But yeah, I mean, the days of the Star Wars Technical Journal, as an example, are just they don't make stuff like this anymore, and it's more's the pity. What do you guys think? What is your favorite reference book that you've ever had on sci-fi and fantasy? I'd love to know. Mine is definitely Star Wars Chronicles, the original trilogy edition. They made one for the prequels, but it wasn't as good. Love to know, though. Do you also kind of treasure this as part of your toy collecting, pop culture collecting hobby? Having reference books around, and do you also, you enjoy that feeling of having, the ownership of information? It's a it's a fleeting thing, I think, in today's world. Let me know. And again, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing. It's the best way to support this channel. I will see you guys in the next video here on Spector Creative.